Welcome everybody to 12 Days of Switchmas. There are only 12 short days before the big blowout in Tokyo, and we here at Switch Force wanted to celebrate with 12 days, 12 videos, hyping you up for that big moment. So enjoy day one of Switchmas. Say what? Zelda is back for launch after believing for many a month that Breath of the Wild would miss the initial Switch day. We now have reports that Zelda Breath of the Wild may in fact be back on for the beginning of the Switch's life. I'm here with myself, Zach, and Gabe from Switch Force to discuss what this means and if we think it's likely. The reason that this even came about was because Laura Kate Dale, probably the most infamous Switch leaker as of late, said that, quote, "So I know for months I've been saying Breath of the Wild is not going to be out in March, heard from two Nintendo of Europe sources. Seems to clash with marketing," which has been a constant sort of dilemma on message boards and NeoGAF and whatnot of like, why are they showing so much Breath of the Wild? Why is it in all of the marketing materials if it's not coming out for a while? And that's something that we've discussed in past videos. And then her subsequent tweet says, "Recently reached out to a Nintendo of America source who I have not used before, saying launch. Not sure why the disparity. To those asking, I can't explain why there's a disparity between marketing and what I heard on release window." So we've got clashing sources here, and I firmly think that the Nintendo of America source is definitely right, Gabe.
I'm still so nervous about it, though, because I would love nothing more than for this to be a launch title, then it become, not that it's not an instant day one purchase, but I feel like it would become an instant day one purchase for a lot more people. I love the game as I've made myself, as I've made you well aware of, but I don't know. I feel like for some reason, if we knew, like if Nintendo was like sure that this was a launch game, then they would have said like this is coming in March.
But my counter to that is they haven't released or revealed anything official in terms of the Switch date.
They've said March.
They've said March, but I feel like if we had a Switch date, then I think your argument would hold up. But without that specific date, it would be weird to announce a Zelda date and not a Switch date.
Don't announce a Zelda date. Say it's coming in March.
But how many games have you ever heard given a month window? All
the time, dude.
Really?
All the time.
Give me a game that they say it's coming in
October. It happens in PC a lot. Like
okay.
A smaller like PC game.
Well, this is not a small game.
No. I don't know. Something in my gut just tells me it's not. And, we understand that this is all rumor and it's sources say this, sources say that. Laura Kate, even she admits that she's been wrong on occasion. She has also been correct on many an occasion.
Right.
So, it's fun to speculate. And that's why we make these videos. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. But I
think the counter argument is that she has been right on so much,
but she has been wrong.
And why all of a sudden would this, switch?
Another simple explanation would be at this point she's being trolled by Nintendo.
Someone did bring that up on NeoGAF saying like, what if these are like rogue, like fake leakers that are giving her clash information? I guess the issue is like, would Nintendo even go to those lengths? The reveal is in 12 days. 11 days at this point.
We've seen Nintendo do things to employees that they don't like before, but
that is very true.
She's not an employee. But I don't know. Like I said, something in my gut tells me that Breath of the Wild isn't a launch day game. Does it come a week or two after? Maybe. I
think there's no way that happens.
Okay, sure. I've been called an idiot many times on this very channel on comments saying, you are an idiot. There's no way that the Switch launches without Zelda there day one. To you guys, I say, I expect an apology when it happens.
I just think that, again, from all we've seen, it would be very mixed messaging to show Zelda, and then not have Zelda there. And that's what I've been saying, even when all the leaks were against it. But now with a leak for it, I feel like that just really reinforces that idea that they've shown so much Breath of the Wild. It's been their biggest talking point for almost a full year now.
But how much of that is accidental? Because we knew the Zelda game was coming. They showed it when it was originally released.
It was their entire E3 presence.
No. But let me go back to when Breath of the Wild was first announced, right?
Okay, years ago.
Yes, years ago.
Yes.
It was a Wii U game. We didn't even know.
Sure.
I don't even think that we had heard about NX at all at that point when this game was first announced. So they've shown a lot of this game. They decided E3, hey, we're blowing the doors off of the handles, all Zelda. The treehouse was hours of footage. We played a good chunk. Well, not a good chunk of. We played in about an hour each or something.
Right.
So I feel like they don't want to tilt their hand as far as what else is coming, and that's why they keep showing Zelda. And it's not because it's like ready to go day one.
We will find that out in 11 days. If Zelda, let's take sort of the Nintendo of America source point. If Zelda is a launch title, and that lines up with the marketing materials, that lines up with sort of this press cycle, does Mario also make launch, or does that then tell you that Mario is not making launch? Because, again, there's sort of a domino effect here. Laura Kate Dell's initial report, the launch lineup would be Mario but not Zelda. So if all of a sudden Zelda is there, does that flip that upside down?
No.
Cause do we really get a Mario and Rabbids crossover RPG, a 3D Mario, and a Zelda all on the first day?
That'd be a hell of a launch lineup.
It would be very good, but do you think that Zelda being there pushes Mario? If you are Mr. Nintendo, would you rather have those two launch side by side for that initial oomph, or would you rather spread them out to really give a little bit more legs to that launch window?
That would depend on how much hardware I have available. And, we've kind of brought it up. We don't know what their business is. We don't. Like, if they have millions and millions of these things ready to be shipped and they're not going to be sold out and anybody's like, well, not anybody, but like if most people are going to be able to get this, like, I think it's fine to have Zelda and Mario at the same time. Like, most people, when they buy a console, they buy a couple of games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I also think that the Rabbids RPG isn't a huge title for them, and I also think that's developed by Ubisoft and not Nintendo.
The other thing that comes to mind, though, is third-party sort of struggle is usually because of Nintendo prowess. So if we have a Mario and a Zelda, how many more games can people buy at launch, and is that going to be a very not good environment for the Skyrim HD and the NBA 2K17 and whatever else they've got coming being there?
Yeah, it's tricky. Would I release both of them at the same time? No. But Nintendo has shown time and time again that they don't operate on things that, me and you consider as common sense, like as far as business goes. Like, we're not businessmen. They are. They know far more than us. That's not what we're saying. But they do things their own way. They have done things their own way for a very long time. And if the 12th comes and they say, hey, Zelda is a launch game, I'm really surprised. If they, on the 12th comes and they say, hey, Zelda's launch, Mario isn't, that's the surprise to me. I don't think that Mario gets pushed back. I really don't.
Because I still believe that Mario is a better launch title for this thing, regardless of quality of individual game, regardless of if Breath of the Wild ends up being Game of the Year, regardless of any of that. I still think Mario is the better title to put forth at launch, and I feel like Nintendo has to know that.
But again, they don't work on traditional, like, what we consider common sense. So
right, but this their turning point. Remember, new president, new business model. They're merging their handheld and home console development into one.
Yeah.
And maybe this is where they finally get wise. I think, regardless, would you say we get both before E3? Do you think there's any way that one of these slips to October or November?
No, I don't think that. I think we get one around E3. Maybe like Zelda. I could see Zelda release around E3 because Nintendo doesn't do E3 the way it used to. They're not doing press conferences. They'll do a direct.
Do you think they'll do something bigger this year though with the Switch?
I don't know.
I cannot see.
We should make another video about that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I can't see them just having one game at E3.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. But a source for a leaker that has been right before is now saying that Breath of the Wild is a launch game. Does that make me happy? Absolutely. Does that give me like every shred of confidence that it's happened? No. Leaks are wrong. Laura Kate has been wrong in the past. She has also been right in the past. I just don't see it.
I think it'll be interesting. Emily Rogers, another very well-known Nintendo leaker, says she has an update in the coming days, and one of the pieces was Zelda. So maybe she'll give us her take or from her sources to confirm one way or.
Do you think it's the same sources, or do you think just everybody's leaking stuff to different people?
It would be hard for me to imagine like 20 different people just like all just like spilling the beans on all of this stuff. I feel like it's got to be a couple people, operating in conjunction with all these different journalists or whatnot. You can look for confirmation, there's confirmation bias always, but, Zelda being delayed makes more sense if it's a Switch launch title to me
than
if it's a Switch 3 months, 4 months down the line title.
Yeah. But
I firmly believe it's a launch title.
okay, when it was delayed, I think they delayed it for a very specific reason, and that's because making an open world is not game is not something that Nintendo has done.
You don't think it has to do with this game required so much time and effort, and the Wii U install base is so small?
Yeah, yes, the minuscule Wii U install base has something to do with it, but I do also think that this was like uncharted territory for them, and they've never made a game like this. They as big as some Zelda games have been, like Twilight Princess itself was pretty big, quote unquote.
Nowhere near this.
Yeah,
this size,
nowhere near this. But yeah, this is something completely different that Nintendo hasn't done, and I think they had a little bit more trouble than they expected.
And I do think this is the ideal title for the Switch, though, because it is that adventure that you'd want to take with you. Mario is much more bite-sized.
Yeah.
So sure, Mario is great to take on the go, but Zelda sells the idea a lot better. And so if let's make a gentleman's bet.
Okay.
And I bet that Zelda Breath of the Wild is a launch day one title.
I bet it's not.
And you bet it's not. So we will see who's right in just 11 days, maybe even sooner. But at the latest, 11 days as we wait for that big Switch reveal. This has been the first day of Switchmas.
Switchmas!
And with that, for Gabe and myself, Switch Force out.